Hey, and welcome back to the rooftop with me and Josh. My name is Menina Chow, and as you may have watched the previous hour, he went lost. So let me find out from my co-host, Josh Bentley, why he came so late.
Well, as you know, I sometimes have to update the blue in my beard, but today I showed up ready, but this Josh still needed his beard to be touched up. So I was just touching that up a little bit. And then also, I put on a Casimir sticker because I saw you have your shirt on, and I want to do what I can for Daniela and the whole team that made Casimir and have him out there. So I wanted to team up with my partner for this final hour.
Final hour with us. And final hour with Integrated Intelligence Suite. So we have a lot of topics to cover. Let me real quick tease what's coming up in this hour. We have one strategy talk, expert interview, with the CDO, Chief Design Officer Benedikt Lehnert. We have 2 customer interviews coming up, and then a demo with SAP Mobile Start, followed by an expert Q&A with the speakers. So that means it's your turn to ask questions. If you have any that pop to your head during this hour, make sure that you go to the SAP Events, SAP TechEd Events platform and sign up for the session to submit your questions. With that, Josh, I think we can get started with our first topic item.
Yeah, for sure. This is a topic that's near and dear to me. I've actually helped out the UX team from time to time. I've attended Sapphires, and I've worked on the show floor showing things like how to design Fiori for iOS and Android SDKs. We have Thilo coming up, and I've worked with Thilo and team doing Apple SDK demonstrations from my pre-sales days all the way through to where we are now with the major changes that have been happening. With the design from our new Chief Design Officer, Benedikt Lehnert, and we're going to bring him in for a Q&A now. So I want to welcome Benedikt to the rooftop.
Hi, Benedikt.
Hello.
There he is.
How are you doing?
Good. Hope you're good as well.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Now, where are you located, Benedikt?
I am located in Ireland. Might surprise some of you, but it's beautiful here. We have quite a few folks here in Ireland as well, and I'm really glad to join you.
Nice. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it and looking forward to a great interview. And then later, I always stress this, we have Q&A that's live. So we want to make sure you get the hard questions from the audience. So the tool should be open already. If it's not already open, it will be soon. Start stacking your questions up, and then we'll answer those later live at the end of the hour with all the topics that were covered.
So, Benedikt, you became Chief Design Officer just a few months ago, and now that you're responsible for UX across all products of SAP, can you share with us some insights about what's happening around UX and design at SAP?
Yeah, absolutely. And while it feels like just a few months ago, it was already in January that I joined, and time has really flown. This year has been flying by. It's been fantastic to join the company at such a great transformational point in time. And there's a lot happening around design. Some of you might have had the chance to already see the blog post that we published yesterday to talk a little bit more about the overall journey that we're going on to put experience at the center of everything that we do at SAP. There's a big cultural transformation as we're moving more and more into a cloud-first world. Mobile is going to be a topic later. Which is not just a technological question that we need to answer and solve, but also overall, as we're delivering products to actual people that do their job on a daily basis with SAP software, we need to make sure that those experiences are just great. They're intuitive, they're fast, they're efficient, they're accessible to every person in the workforce. And so since I've joined, we've done quite a bit of work to get us there, to do a lot of foundational work from creating one big global community of designers and researchers that is working together better than I think ever before. And you've seen some of the initial work that we published yesterday. There's a lot more to come. To ensuring that we're also establishing a more future-looking forward-looking federated operating model in the way we design and build products across the company, because we have a vast portfolio of products and we want to make sure that those work well together. They're intuitive across the board, especially since we're looking really delivering end-to-end experiences, end-to-end processes that are integrated and seamless. And so in order for us to deliver that, we need to ensure that we work in a way that is in fact seamless and enables all of that to come to life. So there's a lot of stuff happening, from the design language to the system to the way we work internally and how we're going to build. So I'm actually really thrilled about the work that we have been able to do over this year. Even more so, I'm excited for 2022, when a lot of this will come to life in our product portfolio, with some of the early previews that we actually were able to launch now for TechEd for our partners and developer communities. I'm really excited. I'll leave it there because I'm pretty sure they have more questions that we want to go through.
Definitely a couple of questions that we can have you expand on what you just said, though. I could pick apart a lot of different things you said that I want to dive more in. I might even follow up and get back to you on those later if they're not asked later in the Q&A. But let's move on to the fact that you have so many things going on as you set the foundation for the evolution of the user experience. What's the journey? What is the journey that now lays ahead of us?
Great question. I think there's a few things I wanna draw out, and some of that we've already laid out in that blog post, and I just encourage everyone to read it so that I think there's a lot more detail that we can and nuance that we can bring to this. But what lays ahead of us is, first and foremost, that we collectively as a company and as a community of product makers need to embrace the idea that user experience is everyone's job. Where we need to ensure that when we touch the products that we make, we test them, we play around with them, we need to really put ourselves in the shoes of our end users and realize, ask the question, is this intuitive enough? Is this accessible to everyone? Have we made sure we delivered a quality of the experience that really lives up to the benchmark that is set by so many pieces of software that people touch on a daily basis, beyond just the enterprise context? So I think that is what lays ahead of us for all of us. Now, when it comes to the design language, the design system, what lays ahead of us is that we have a lot of great technology and design system that existed over the last 10 years that we can build on. You'll see us modernize a lot of that. A lot of the components are being modernized as we speak to match the new design language. We're going to make that available not only internally, but also to our developer community, of course, so that everyone can build with the new design language, and ensure that we have an overall modern look and feel, but also we're really rethinking experiences in the sense that they are more intuitive, they are more accessible, and generally just a pleasure to use. And then in terms of the updates to the products, we have a bunch of great frontrunner releases lined up for the beginning quarters of next year. There's a lot more, of course, that we can't talk about and can't announce just yet. But I'm looking forward to Sapphire. I'm looking forward to what we will be able to deliver over the rest of next year, which is already all in the making. And I think ultimately all of this, as you can probably already tell, requires us to learn and grow as a culture, as a product making culture. We have a rich history that we can build on in terms of understanding the enterprise, understanding the backend. And as we see today in the enterprise, we have 5 generations of people as in the workforce. And so we need to make sure that we also really lift up the benchmark in terms of the quality of the user experience. That, frankly, and we'll talk about this, I think, later too, are set by our mobile experiences that we have when it comes to ease of use, intuitiveness, the quality of how things are made. And that's all our job to bring our best ideas forward, to bring our best work forward, so that we deliver enterprise software for the next generation to come, which as SAP, I think we're uniquely positioned to do.
So I think Menina has a question in a second, but I wanted to jump in. I read the blog post, and either I missed it, I apologize if I did, but didn't you announce it's called Horizon as the new theme? And can you just talk a little bit about what it looks like or how it's different?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, it's called Horizon, which describes really our approach to the new aesthetic. And I want to actually start with, what are things that are, that we were able to build on rather than, all the new things, which we'll get to in a second. But first and foremost, as we were peeling apart what makes the SAP experience, unique and great, and what are things we can build on, some of the things that we found was actually really fascinating. For example, our corporate typeface 72, named after our birth year. It's a beautiful typeface. It's actually, in my opinion, one of the best corporate typefaces out there ever created. And that was created in, I believe, 2014. And it was already also designed with accessibility in mind from the get-go. So when it comes to making sure things are really well to read on the computer, but also on the phone, it's already designed with that in mind. So we're building on that. If you look at the new screens we put out, there's going to be more. If you look at the preview version of S/4HANA Cloud that we've released, we're really leveraging that typeface, and we're building on that beautiful typography to increase overall hierarchy. We've done a lot of inclusive research with people with disabilities to ensure that what we're doing with Horizon is not just more beautiful, but it's also at the same time more useful, more accessible. So you'll see typography becomes a core part. There's a entirely new icon set that we're introducing into the UI, which is much more friendly, which is one of the core tenets of the new design. Make it more approachable, more friendly, more modern. You see a new color palette, which is another piece to highlight. Also, that was designed with accessibility in mind from the beginning to make sure we're meeting all those accessibility requirements, contrast ratios from the get-go. And then, as you will start to discover, we bring a lot more friendliness and roundness into some of the UI elements. As we go forward, there's going to be motion and sound design that we're looking at as well. So overall, and we've described that a little bit more in detail in the blog post, it's all about modernizing, but not just the aesthetic. What's driving us is how people will respond to it emotionally, but also how they can use it, from usability to accessibility. And then, of course, as we now bring this to the rest of the portfolio, performance is becoming a huge topic for us, to make sure that as we are building and rebuilding and refining, that we keep the perceived performance of load times and response times as a key factor as well in mind. So a little bit more in depth, where we're going, what we mean when we talk about Horizon. And maybe the last point to mention is there is a morning horizon, there's an evening horizon, which covers both the light mode and the dark mode, to ensure in all settings for as many users as possible, we have the right color scheme and modes for their preference, and also the surrounding environment.
Makes sense. Thank you, Benedikt, and also thank you for being here and making the first appearance to the public. While you touched base on a lot of different aspects, what can everyone listening take away from this talk now?
Well, I'm going to reiterate what I said at the very beginning, and that is that user experience requires all of us to do our best work. I've had the chance to speak to probably hundreds at this point of the designers, developers, researchers, product managers at this company. And I think what drives us is our mission as a company, and that everyone wants to deliver the best products in the market. And what it really means is that every one of us is not just a product maker, but we also users in our own lives. And I think what I would want everyone to take away from this is that the benchmark is really high in the industry. The benchmark is even higher when it comes to software as a whole, because as users, we're all very spoiled these days with really great software that we can use. And we need to bring that quality approach to the work that we are doing. And it is, in fact, true. And we've had these conversations really across the company all the way up to Christian and the board. It is important that we bring that quality approach to our work. It is also important that we realize that user experience, more than features and functions, is what differentiates the successful and great companies today from the companies that are not thriving as much. Now, of course, always technology, platform, and code will be a driving force and a foundation for us, but it is important to understand that in the end, we're doing this for people. We are serving people. It's in the mission of our company that we want to help people get their job done better, that we want to improve their lives. And so if we want to deliver the most value to our customers, the companies we serve, we need to make sure that we make their employees as productive and as delighted as possible. And we need to ensure that we're bringing everyone in the workforce along, which is why you hear me talk a lot about accessibility and inclusive design, because the reality is that we have a lot of people today in the world that are still excluded in some ways from the software usage, or it is at least very hard. And it is our job as SAP to deliver enterprise software that works for everyone. And so with that said, I would encourage all of you as makers, designers, researchers, engineers, to really take that fresh new look at our products. What can we make faster? What can we make more intuitive? Where can we write some new code that increases overall perceived performance and overall increases the quality of the products that everyone is using, and get closer to that emotional response that we deliver to our end users as well. We will provide, from my came on, a lot more enablement, a lot more, you will see a lot more educational material come out. We will do a lot more blog posts to take everyone on the journey with us. But every one of you can make a huge difference here. And with that, I think we can set up the company, and next year we're going to turn 50 years old. We can set up the company for the next decade and decades to come and really redefine that market that we've initially created, and that is enterprise software. And I think that's a really exciting opportunity for all of us to chip into.
No, that's awesome stuff. I think, again, I mentioned I kind of worked with the mobile team in the past and the UX team, and we used to say things like we want it to be as easy as email, or a mobile app should be 3 clicks or less. And what I'm hearing from you almost is like, it's just like mantra. This should be easy to do, easy to use, but the passion that you're expressing is coming through. And maybe the users, they can give us feedback as well. I think Qualtrics was mentioned in your blog post, and the fact that user sentiment is going to help SAP be more organic in the way it releases the code, if I heard you correctly.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is absolutely right. So one of the things that we're doing now in terms of changing the way we work is we're very close to our customers, which are the people that, ultimately buy our software, they write the checks. We, as product makers, we need to get much closer to the end users, because those are the people that use the software on a daily basis to get their job done. And we need to ensure that we understand where do we do a great job and where do we put hurdles in their way that we can in fact remove, and then ultimately increase their satisfaction, which will of course benefit immensely the companies that we're selling our software to, which is ultimately, if we're increasing employee productivity and delight, we will increase the value that we're bringing to every single company and customer that we have. And so we will build a lot more structure internally to get much closer to the end users. Qualtrics is, of course, a fantastic tool that we can leverage to ask and get feedback from end users directly and funnel that into our roadmap process. And so there's a lot more that we will do there over 2022 and beyond that I'm really excited about.
We are as well. Thank you so much for this, and I think you're going to come back for the Q&A at the end. And Nina, I could steal the whole hour right now and talk to Benedikt and pick his brain, but let's transition to the next subject. Thank you, Benedikt, so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right.
Should we move forward?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good to have him in the expert interview. So that's your chance really to ask your questions later on.
Correct. And I think now we're going to move into the Department of Interior for the United States. And that is where I'm from. And I looked at the Department of Interior as something just like, what is the amount of national parks that they manage and how big is that in square kilometers? And it equals pretty much the size of Germany. So it's amazing. That's just one of the things they take care of.
Wow.
But in this video, we have an interview from Peter, and he's going to go through with a couple of guys from the DOI and how they're using SAP technologies. So I think we can roll that video.
Hello and welcome to TechEd. My name is Peter Spielvogel with SAP UX Engineering. I am thrilled to be here today with Richard Drake and Vijay Jalla from the Department of the Interior. We met a couple of years ago at Sapphire, and ever since then, they've been very active participants in helping us develop new products, giving us feedback on Fiori elements, Fiori tools, and SAP screen personas. They've participated in various communities that we have, and what I really appreciate about their approach is it's very pragmatic, really focused on getting the most from their investments in SAP and not wasting resources on excess motions. So with that, Richard and Vijay, if you'd like to give a brief introduction of yourselves and your role at the Department of the Interior, then we can get started.
I'll start first. My name is Richard Drake. I am the Contractor User Experience Lead at the U.S. Department of Interior's Business Integration Office.
Hi, my name is Vijay Jalla. I'm a contractor at the U.S. Department of Interiors, and I'm an application developer.
All right, great. You both mentioned Department of Interior. For those viewers who are not familiar, can you give a quick intro of what is the U.S. Department of the Interior?
The Department of Interior is a U.S. federal agency that is charged with the protection and stewardship of the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage. It consists of 9 bureaus and as well the Office of the Secretary, probably the most famous of which is the National Park Service if you look at Instagram likes or something like that. But you may have heard of some of the other ones. U.S. Geological Survey for geospatial reasons or maybe earthquake-related reasons. The Bureau of Land Management helping to support wildfire management out west in the United States, among many other bureaus within the Department of Interior. And within that, DOI, our FBMS or Financial Business Management System is our centralized SAP as well as other software system that is managed by the Business Integration Office where both VJ and I work.
Great. Can you start out by telling us a little bit about where you are in terms of user experience?
Sure. We've had a SAP implementation for just over a decade, and we're currently on Suite on HANA. We've been live with Fiori Launchpad originally on Fiori 2.0 since about 2016, so just about 5 years now. We've moved over to Fiori 3.0 somewhat recently, a little over a year ago. And with respect to that, if you look at our Fiori footprint, we have about 20 custom applications on UI5, most of which are based on Fiori elements, which we'll talk about and BJ will get into detail shortly, and then 6 or so freestyle UI5 applications. In addition to that, we also have about 20 SAP Screen Personas flavors, and we exclusively develop those using the Fiori design language, so we consider those Fiori apps as well. So the total footprint is something around 40 Fiori applications, all of them custom development, very few. We got a couple of standard Fiori apps, but Suite on HANA doesn't have a ton with respect to where S4's at. In addition, we also have a new S4 sandbox, so in about 2 years' time, the intention is to go live with S4, and we're going through around 500 or so of the standard Fiori apps. All of the new and improved enhancements we intend to develop for S4 will also be developed on the Fiori platform, and then all of the bells and whistles you get with Fiori, including enterprise search and some of the notification centers, the flexible workflows, all the fun things that you get on S4 as well, we are actively evaluating at this point.
Cool. I know in some of our earlier conversations, you've been really excited about Fiori Elements and how it saves you time and money on development. Vijay, can you talk a little bit about how you're using Fiori Elements at Department of the Interior?
Yeah, sure, Peter. So with SAP Fiori Elements application development, it includes 50 to 60% development time saving over freestyle. That's what we have observed. And for example, we implemented Fiori Elements list report application in just 3 days using ABAP CDS OData model and consume it on the SAP Fiori Elements list report template, and that was delivered to the customer all the way till production. And another main aspect is it provides consistent UI throughout all the SAP Fiori applications that are developed and implemented to the customers.
And I know very early on, you were one of our customer innovation partners for SAP Fiori tools. Can you talk a little bit about how you've used that and how that's also helped you reduce the cost of development?
So what we have observed is that the development efforts have reduced drastically using Fiori tools when compared to the Web IDE world. And the SAP Fiori tools is designed to be easy learning tool for any developer. This is mainly due to the developer-friendly features provided by the extension suite of the Fiori tools. Some of the powerful extension suite are Annotation Modeler and Guided Development. Annotation Modeler extension provides developer-friendly options on the fly for given annotation that is being implemented. Guided Development extension provides faster way of implementing various features that are available for any given Fiori element template. With all the above mentioned features, SAP Fiori tools makes it a powerful tool for developing Fiori Elements applications. And thanks to SAP for that.
Thank you for all of your input on that. So it sounds like everything was pretty smooth with the development. SAP's tends to be fairly complex. I can't believe that everything worked perfectly. Were there any obstacles you ran into along the way, and how did you address those?
Yeah, sure. I think the most common thing that we run into is really a limitation of Suite on HANA, which is when we go to develop those Fiori Elements apps, there's some limitations to the programming models that you can approach. So S4, you get the RAB programming model, and it has a lot more features that you can develop towards, but on Suite on HANA, we don't really have that. And so we run into limitations around transactional applications. And then if you want to build more transactional based applications, you sort of require a full stack developer and a custom Freestyle UI5 app. Those can be somewhat resource constrained and result in bottlenecks in how much throughput you can do. So what we've found, and to sort of work around that in Suite on HANA, is we've tried to find areas in which we had existing transaction codes that worked and then merge the requirements that we might have that we can meet with the Fiori Elements application, typically around reporting or embedded analytical models, whether that's through a KPI and a tile or a particular report, with an existing T code that can do the transactional aspects, and then enhancing that T code through Fiori design language using SAP Screen Personas, and then with intent-based navigation between the two and leveraging the blog that the SAP Screen Personas people put out, we can actually create what feels like to an end user one single application, but it's actually a mixed bag of using the Fiori Elements stuff with the SAP Screen Personas stitched together.
So a seamless experience, top to bottom.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
Well, you've touched on Fiori Elements, Fiori Tools, Suite on HANA, your journey to S/4HANA, as well as Screen Personas to simplify the transactional apps. What would you recommend to other tech ed attendees if they're thinking about transitioning to using SAP Fiori?
You know, I think you hit on it at the beginning. It's about being pragmatic. So when you look at the resources on a typical SAP project, for very good reason, most of your developers are going to be based on an ABAP side of the house, building custom applications or enhancements applications or interfaces. And when you're transitioning towards Fiori, you need to start looking at a different model of development and where the skills need to rely. Primarily, you're looking at, when you have custom Freestyle UI5 applications, either a full stack developer or requiring two developers, one for front end, one for back end, which, as I mentioned before, results in a bit of a bottleneck. So we've found that it's really useful to try to right size where your development resources go. So Fiori Elements and Fiori Tools make it very easy to make the ramp up to understanding Fiori and developing Fiori applications very straightforward for your normal traditional ABAP developers. And then you can focus more specifically on the complex requirements that you might run into with Fiori application development for those UI5 full stack developers, which might be a little bit more constrained in terms of capacity. In addition, using some of those Fiori design language things on SAP Screen Personas enables some of your functional resources to ramp up earlier and get a comfort level with Fiori design, having a cohesive and consistent user experience in UI. And so then at the end of the day, you have your functional resources well versed in Fiori, hopefully ramping up very quickly. The Fiori tools and SAP Fiori Elements enable your normal ABAP-based developers to transition to Fiori very smoothly. And then your full stack developers, which are probably already doing some of this type of work, can focus on really the complex requirements where you need them.
You've talked a lot about developers and different skill sets. Did you have designers on the project, and what role did they play, and how did they interact with the development team?
That was probably a little bit more holistic. So we had people who have skill sets that were already in that range. Maybe they'd been messing around with Adobe Photoshop, or they're used to some of these online virtual whiteboarding tools. We particularly use Miro. And so where we found resources that were a good fit, that's where we tried to get them to skill up and make sure that they can run these. We also did an internal project around how we can implement some of the things that we see in design thinking throughout our design process, which has been a great success and very much appreciated by our end users and stakeholders.
Wow, lots of great information. Thanks a lot for joining me here at TechEd, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the show.
All right, let's go from one customer interview to the next, and we'll now hear from Froster and their pain points with and how they address it with SAP Mobile Start. Let's see the customer interview.
Welcome, and thank you for joining also from our side. We are my colleague Thilo Bernd and myself, Robert Wassermann. We are product managers in the SAP Mobile Experience and Engineering unit. We are joined by two gentlemen from our customer Froster, Fabian von Thun and Lukas Dreger. Fabian works as an innovation manager in Froster's finance and controlling department, and Lukas works as an SAP architect in Froster's IT and digital transformation office. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining. Today, we would like to share with you some insights into our new native mobile application, SAP Mobile Start, which we just launched end of August 2021. SAP Mobile Start serves as the new native mobile entry point into the Intelligent Enterprise Suite. This already leads me to my first question. Thilo, could you please introduce the SAP Mobile Start app and describe the main benefits to our audience?
Sure, Robert. SAP Mobile Start enables you to work seamlessly on your critical business processes while you're not at your desk. The app also ensures that you do not miss any critical business events while you're on the go by leveraging native capabilities like notifications or widgets. SAP Mobile Start is based on the SAP Launchpad service and provides you with all the relevant business applications and content based on your business persona.
Thank you, Thilo. Fabian, Froster has been co-innovating with SAP on the SAP Mobile Start app for the better part of 2021. Could you please share with the audience why SAP Mobile Start is important to Froster and your colleagues and what the pain points are that it addresses?
Yeah, sure, Robert. And hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having us here. Froster's goal is to become the digital champion in the frozen food industry. And we are always looking for new technologies and innovations to drive our digital transformation. And here, SAP Mobile Start closes several gaps for us. One is our release workflows. Our previous process was not that user-friendly and often led to frustration. So you still had to start your desktop PC, you had to start SAP graphical user interface, and you needed to have a stable VPN connection. And then you were able to get an overview of all your workflows. Now, it's possible for our managers to answer approvals directly with their mobile device. So this speeds up our processes enormously and makes our managers happy. And next to this, we have another point, and this is the lack of a central mobile launchpad. Here we have been looking for a solution for a long time so that we can make all our tools and especially our SAP Fiori apps available to the end user in one central place. And the best thing is that we can now provide this independently of a VPN solution. So our end users can now access all our services like Concur, SAP Analytics Cloud, SAP SuccessFactors within one app and edit workflows within just a few clicks.
Fabian, looking at the co-innovation activities, what is your experience from collaborating with the SAP experts and what are the benefits you got out of it?
So in general, the cooperation was great. SAP has really experienced people on board who worked hard to get Froster up and running without any problems. And you know, general IT issues can require hours on hours of debugging, and having such an experienced team saved us a lot of time so that we could focus on integrating more and more features into our app. And it was also great to be one of the early adopters and help find some issues that could fix in time for launch. But last but not least, we had a great time with the team, laughing a lot and having fun at every meeting. So once again, thanks to the whole SAP Mobile Start team for helping us get the systems up and running in no time.
Thank you for the great feedback, Fabian. We also enjoyed the collaboration with you and your colleagues and had a lot of fun during these activities. Froster started directly after the general availability, as we just heard, of the SAP Mobile Start app with the rollout to their end users. Lucas, could you please share with us the current status of the rollout activities and who already uses the app productively?
Sure, Robert. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. And yes, of course, we are currently in production with different business units. So what does that mean? It means basically different business unit Fioris are available in the cloud already for our users. And so to say a few, accounts receivable, accounts payable, purchasing, plant maintenance, for example. And also very good feedback from plant maintenance is that users can now open maintenance orders with their own cell phones with no need of a VPN, like Fabian said, or to be connected to the internal network, right? So they can use their cell phones to open a notification or take pictures of a damaged part in the Fiori itself, and then just open the maintenance order, which is great. And also the same happens to our managers. They don't need any VPN connection in order to approve any request anymore, so they can take action from wherever they are. We also have available in our app connections to other solutions. So, for example, SuccessFactors, Concur, SAP Analytics Cloud, and also non-SAP products like Office 365 resources, for example. This is very good because it's not limited to SAP products or solutions, for example. And this is great because we have everything centralized into one single place, depending on our users' requirements.
That's great to hear that you're already that advanced with the productive usage of the SAP Mobile Start app. Lucas, what are the next steps to making the app available to all your colleagues, and what is your timeline moving forward?
So the next step would be definitely to keep expanding the availability of these Fioris. So putting more and more Fioris in the cloud available for our users. But we also have in our plate to push the app to all of our iPhones in the company via MDM solution, and also Androids when it's available to Android versions. And this is going to be done probably in the next couple of weeks. We also have in our plate the migration of an old purchase requisition workflow that we still have from ECC, and we want to migrate it to a S4 flexible workflow version. And the reason for that is to provide more and more information to our managers when they are about to approve or take action into a requisition, right? We plan on doing this in the next couple months, probably. And last but not least, the task center integration. So I heard very exciting news that the task center is going to be integrated with the Mobile Start. And this is huge for us because we have workflows not only in S/4HANA, but we also have in SuccessFactors, in BTP, or Concur, for example, and we can concentrate and compile every approval in the Mobile Start app. And this is going to be huge for us and for our managers.
Thank you so much for sharing these great insights into the benefits that SAP Mobile Start delivers to Froster and how it enables you delivering the business processes to your colleagues on their mobile devices and thereby improve their productivity and effectiveness. With that, I would like to thank our speakers, Fabian, Lucas, and Thilo. It was really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. That was such a great interview with Frosta, and they're going to be back later along with Benedikt and a few other guests. We're going to have a live Q&A. So please submit your questions now. They'll start to stack up, and then Menina and I can go through them later. What we want to do is make sure that your questions get answered by these experts. There's also chat that you can talk in, but if you really want a question addressed on air, please ask that in the Q&A tool. For now, though, we have a special demo coming up that's going to be Thilo from the team, and he's going to show us what it looks like. So let's see the demo.
Now, let's have a look at our short demo. I'm Nolan, a finance manager at a medium-sized tech company. Early in the morning when I have my first coffee, SAP Mobile Start provides me my important business numbers and latest company news with Apple widgets right on the home screen of my iPhone. And the best is I can decide which numbers I would like to see. This morning I have an important customer meeting with the Chief Financial Officer of Del Ponte. While sitting in the taxi on my way to the customer, I want to prepare for the meeting. To do so, I open SAP Mobile Start. On the start screen, I get an overview on the most important information, like my open to-dos or app suggestions. SAP Mobile Start ensures that I do not oversee any important business event or information. But now let's prepare for the customer meeting. I go to the application screen where I have access to all mobile apps that are assigned to me based on my business role. Those apps can be native or web apps, business apps, but also useful HR or social media apps. I opened the SAP Customer Guide app to get a 360-degree view on my customer, Del Bond. Here I get important KPIs, like accounts receivable, DSO, and financial charts. Now, as I'm prepared, I can relax and enjoy the rest of the taxi ride. During the customer meeting, the customer suddenly asked a question to an open sales order. Nothing simpler than that. I can quickly use the Apple search to open the respective SAP S/4HANA app without even having to go into SAP Mobile Start. My customer is impressed how fast I got to the needed information. After the successful meeting, I'm back in my taxi and suddenly my Apple Watch buzzes. I just got a notification from SAP Mobile Start. One of my employees asked for a day off, and I can directly take care of that. Now, after I've also taken care of all my HR topics, thanks to SAP Mobile Start, I can chill a bit and enjoy the rest of the taxi ride home. Thank you.
So, time went by very fast. We heard from Benedikt Lehnert, Chief Design Officer, in his strategy talk. We had 2 customer interviews just now and a demo of SAP Mobile Start. And it's time for the Q&A with our experts. Just so you know, we have Benedikt in the call. We have Thilo joining us for Mobile Start and the customer Froster with Fabian von Thun and Lukas Dreger. But we also have Stephanie Hager with us, who is stepping in for SAP Fiori and Fiori Tools for Peter Spiegelvogel, who you saw in the customer interview. So with that, I'd like to welcome them with us on stage. So hi, everyone. It's good to have you here. And I think we can jump right into the questions that we have from the audience, as we have quite a few here. But also a reminder for you watching, if you're watching in social media, please go to the events platform and sign in so you can submit your questions and vote for them. Let me start with the first one, and that's probably for you, Benedikt. How is the introduction of Horizon, how would you impact the existing customers using Fiori? How can they take advantage of Horizon?
Great question. There's actually a couple blog posts that we have out there in the community, so I'm just going to refer to all the details there. But one of the things that was really important for us when we initially started the work on evolving the design language, that we take advantage of the existing theming technologies to bring it to as many customers as possible. As you'll see in with the S/4HANA Cloud preview that we're launching, or actually launched yesterday for TechEd, we'll be able to get customers into the preview very quickly. There's links to that in those blog posts as well on how to do that. We're also making the theme as an experimental theme for now available to our developer community. So there's another way to use that. So the goal here is really to make sure that everyone can, as quickly as possible, take advantage of all the improvements we're bringing to Horizon and then give us feedback as we evolve it.
Awesome. As much as I really want to throw a hard question at my friend Thilo right now, I'm not going to. First, I'm going to jump to the team from Frosta. We've got one for either of you, Lukas or Fabian. What were your biggest challenges during the implementation?
I guess I can take this one, Fabian. I would say the biggest challenge was related to the flexible workflows at first. Yeah, I think we use this workflow for purchase requisition still from ECC, and this kinds of add a bit of complexity in to our managers to approve, because it limits the amount of information that we can display. And migrating that we are doing now, by migrating this to the new flexible workflows in S/4HANA, we're going to be able to display more and more information. No need to customize anything. And yeah, I think this is the biggest one that I can think of. I don't know, Fabian, if you want to compliment anything.
He just wants to compliment you.
I guess not. Yeah.
Awesome. And they're starting to stack up. We definitely need a few more questions in the tool, but they are starting to stack up. But please send them in. We want as many questions answered as possible in the next 11 or so minutes.
Let me post then the next question to you, Thilo, about SAP Mobile Start. what are the technical prerequisites for customers to use SAP Mobile Start?
Thanks, Menina. That's quite simple. To use SAP Mobile Start, you basically need to have the SAP Launchpad service set up and connected to your backends. And the app got released for SAP S/4HANA Cloud and SAP S/4HANA 1809 and newer versions. And you can certainly also integrate further solutions like your SAP SuccessFactors or your SAP Concur mobile app without much effort. And finally, to make use of the full power of your device, you need to be on iOS 14 on your iPhone and iPad.
Thank you, Thilo. How about another question?
This one is it's a bit broad, and I think, Benedikt, you might be able to answer it. What are the biggest challenges to ensure everyone at SAP is on board with this vision and enterprise transformation strategy? And maybe that applies to some of the other people on the call as well, but I think you could start that one.
Well, I mean, we're a big company. Let's start there. And there's a lot of people here that are doing incredible work. And as we are, talking about transformation when it comes to our customers and helping them, we also need to realize that when it comes to the market expectations that our customers have, that especially the end users and employees that our customers have, the benchmark is high these days. It's 2021, we're going into 2022. And for us, there is a very clear mission that we have as a company. And in order to deliver that, we need to continuously evolve with the market requirements, with the expectations that customers and users have. And I think that means if we embrace that opportunity that's ahead of us of growth and thriving in this new changing world, is we really need to just embrace that opportunity with a learning mindset. And it will take some time, and there's things that we need to work through. And as I said in my blog post, our strength in terms of the footprint we have in the world requires us to also, of course, always consider how do we take as many customers, as many of our products with us on the journey. But I think the opportunity is so exciting that everyone that I've spoken to, and it's been hundreds of people so far, and the company it's there, and the clarity of vision and direction is there. So I'm very hopeful and believe that we're absolutely capable of making the change happen.
Thanks, Benedikt. In terms of UX consistency, and maybe this is a question for you, Stephanie, how does SAP Fiori Elements enable UX consistency?
Thank you, Menina. So that's a question that we get quite often. SAP Fiori Elements is a template and metadata-driven approach. So essentially, we provide templates which are then run on a framework, and that framework orchestrates the UI logic. So you get a lot of the coding out of the box, and you get the UX consistency because the templates that we're using are also the same templates that we're using in S/4HANA for most of our Fiori apps. And thus, your apps will not only look very consistent across all the apps that you are building yourself, but also consistent with the apps that we are building in S/4HANA. And another thing that's really important to emphasize is the maintenance gain that you get. I mean, you get that UX consistency not only now, but if we are to change our design. I mean, if we take Horizon to the next step, if we take, evolve the design, buttons change location, whatever else could happen to the design, that will also automatically be brought into Fiori Elements, and you get that UX consistency again out of the box without having to manually adopt all of your custom apps.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Awesome. So I think this one is a little bit of Thilo, but mostly the Frosta team. It's how did your users that were outside of the Frosta network, how did you manage them coming in with Fiori apps? Were you using a BTP solution, or was this a third-party one?
You want to start, Thilo, or? Yeah, I can start. So yes, for sure, we're using here our business technology platform. So at first, we set up our central launchpad, and this was at first a huge step for us. So with this, we were able to provide our users Fiori apps using their mobile. And then combined together with SAP Mobile Start, we were then even able to add more and more also external tools then together there. Yeah.
Yeah, basically we have our services exposed to the internet via the business technology platform in the cloud, and then we integrate them to our collect info data and expose data.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Menina, you got one that's got a lot of votes now.
Yeah. High votes. Keep on posting questions and voting, please, guys. So the next one, probably for you, Benedikt. Many customers struggle with the pace of change in UX. How are you going to make sure customers, especially on-premise customers, can more easily keep up with UX changes?
I'm assuming that the question is more about SAP internal UX changes than the global UX changes in the world. So I'm just answering it more within the SAP ecosystem first. As you've probably seen, or at least you can read in a blog post, one of the things that we are changing with the way we're approaching the UX work overall is that we first and foremost establish a set of principles and a framework on how to think about user experience going forward and peeling that apart. And there's a lot of user experience improvements that have nothing to do with the UI layer as a whole. And I think that's something that's really important to highlight. So no matter what you're running, what stack you're running, what technology you're running, you can make a lot of improvements continuously going forward, and we will do so, of course, as well. Now, when it comes to the UI layer, I think Stephanie said something really important. We have existing technologies that make it easier for our customers to keep up with changes that we are making. We're also ensuring that, as I've said earlier, that we're introducing elements that take advantage of what's already there, because we're very aware of the fact that we have a variety of different versions and stacks in the market, and want to make sure that we can take everyone on the journey with us. Now, of course, all the latest work that we're doing, and as we've seen with Mobile Start, we also want to push the boundaries on the new apps that we're releasing, the new technologies that we're releasing, and we want to make that transition as easy as possible. You see that in the preview that we've launched now and announced around S/4HANA Cloud and the new UI there. There's actually a little toggle in the shell bar that enables end users to opt in or out of the new design, because we believe there's an important point here that we allow people to have the choice and then give us feedback, what is working, what is not working. So I think on a technological level, we want to make sure we build on the existing technologies. We create the tools that make changes and adoption as easy as possible. And you'll see a lot more coming there as well as we move forward on this journey. And then for the end user, we want to make it also as easy as possible to opt into those new changes and make that change management process also easy by, on the one hand, giving choice, and on the other hand, also giving the option to give feedback, so we can learn from the end users and then build what is in fact needed and what is most valued, rather than just presenting an option that is maybe not exactly hitting the mark or filling a need. So I'll leave it at that. But we try to tackle this on all of those layers, because we're very aware that user experience really is created across the entire stack, not just one layer of the entirety that we deliver.
Well, Benedikt, thank you for that, but you led into the next question, so you're not off the hook yet, because I was on a panel yesterday about our developer keynote, and a lot of people kept asking, why are we focused on ABAP, or what language should I learn? And this is a similar vein. It's, while you were talking about UX in SAP environments, most of the applications in S/4HANA are still based on ABAP transactions. When will you finally get rid of them? Maybe Thilo could help bail you out on this one, but I mean, is there anything you would comment on the fact that people want to understand, why are we designing for ABAP with all these new UX elements?
Well, I am definitely not the perfect person to speak to technology stacks and technology choices. I think from a customer perspective and customer-centered perspective, it makes sense that we, of course, support what our customers have and what is working, and make sure we deliver the best experience on the existing stacks. And in parallel, as the big, successful, thriving tech company that we are, I think we also need to, of course, look ahead. And I think the mobile startup is a perfect example here. We're embracing new technologies. We're embracing existing APIs within platforms that we believe deliver the best experience for the jobs that our customers have and our employees that our customers have to do. And it's, to me, not an either or. We need to, of course, make sure we bridge that gap, and we provide transitional routes, as our customers want to upgrade. But at the same time, I think the answer to that question, I think, is really in our customer centricity, that we want to make sure we take people on the journey with us. And because I think one of the big opportunities we have is that we build long-lasting systems. Now, that is great on the one hand. On the other hand, we need to make sure that in that spirit, we also, of course, don't miss the train on innovation and new technologies that allow for better experiences and drive more value to the businesses that we serve.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Nina, I think we are almost out of time.
Yeah. We should definitely continue the Q&A sessions later on. Make sure just post them in the community or continue conversations in the SAP TechEd group. So thank you for everyone now.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, Benedikt's blog post is out there. Thilo, you've written a blog post, I think, on Mobile Start. So thank you to the Frosta team and the Department of Interior. And thank you guys so much for being here for the Q&A.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Our last hour is flying by.
The last couple of minutes before we have our next moderators up. Cecilia and Rui waiting already.
I don't think they can make it. I've been stacking up all of my coffee cups on the edge of the stage.
You don't want to leave?
I've been drinking so much coffee, and I've tried to build a pyramid that I think Rui might be able to step over it. We'll see.
Yeah, it was really great experience with all of you guys. Hope you enjoyed us being your co-hosts for Channel 1. Josh, I'll definitely miss it on stage with you.
No, it's okay. I know you wanted to take Bobble Josh with you, and you were so sad that I said, this is something that was a gift for me. I can't give it to you. But the team worked hard, and they made you a little
really?
mini Josh. So you can take this and frame it.
Well, I was going to frame Casimir, Casimir the cat, but maybe I take this then.
Take me with you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. What else is coming up? Any learning sessions or people should focus on? Do you have a list of those?
Well, definitely, I mean, for the topics that we just talked about, there are topic pages in the SAP community about SAP Fiori elements, mobile experience. So make sure that you check out those. We have upcoming sessions as you see them highlighted just here on my side. So yeah, with that, I'd say let's continue with the next last hours, and hope you enjoyed it.
And I'm not saying goodbye. I'll see you next year. Yeah.
See you next year.
I am really happy to be here today. This is just another possibility to get a glimpse into SAP's world of tech. 48 hours full of content. Could this be any better? Well, usually I like newsletters and podcasts to keep myself informed. And I'm really happy to be part of a team where we exchange knowledge about the latest trends on a regular basis. And if there's a specific topic that's super interesting for us, then we invite guest speakers to share their knowledge and their field of expertise with us in our weekly strategy sessions. It's the perfect format to ask all your questions, so maybe that's even something for you. Well, I have to admit I'm a newbie at SAP TechEd, but since I heard from this really cool conference, I knew that I'm going to watch a lot of content during these 48 hours. So what I look most forward to is definitely all the offers from the SAP community. So the online meetups, the community gatherings. So if you are a newbie like me, let's catch up there. Happy to meet you, and yeah, have a good day. Enjoy it.